Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Austin, and today I got something a little bit different for you. Recently, I've gotten into a new hobby. So today, we're going to be unboxing this, a Creality CR-10s Pro V2. 3D printing is something that I've kind of took an interest in over the last couple months. I got an Ender 3 V2 over there that's pretty much been running non-stop since about January. Today, I'm expanding my lineup with this new printer, so let's go ahead and open this thing up and see what we got. So with this printer, from what I've seen online, it looks like it's pretty much one of the most ready-to-go printers out of a box. As far as I can tell from other videos and stuff, it seems like it's just a couple bolts, a couple plugs, and this thing is really ready to go. So let's open this thing up and see where we're going. I don't know how I'm gonna get this out of here. First off, we got a little test filament. Got your warranty paperwork, user manual. Got a box of all your hardware and probably extra tools, your filament spool holder, and plug-in. Scraper. Comes with an extra Bowden tube, the Capricorn, for extra heat. This is to help you level. Tools, clippers, the 4 bolts that you're going to need, and your nozzle. Alright, let's figure out how to get this thing out of here. And like I said, this is supposed to be a super simple build. If you guys have already bought a 3D printer at some point, like an Ender 3, a good entry-level printer, and you're able to put Ender 3 together, Ender 3 Pro, V2, any of those types, this thing should be a breeze for you. I got the base out, and let's get the game tree. And I have to say, do be careful. I have seen many people break the fan right here on your nozzle while disassembling or trying to assemble it. All right, we got one piece. Over here you got 2 plugins here. You got one taped down. They tape them down so you're out of your way. That's kind of nice. Another piece of styrofoam. Slide out. Put that out of the way. Look at that. This is going to be a pretty nice upgrade from my Ender 3. Nothing wrong with my Ender 3, but just looking for something a little bit bigger, and this has a little more features that are just kind of built into it, already included. I'll keep that tape there in case we need that for later. And really, you just want to go ahead and just kind of look over everything real quick. Make sure your belt isn't too loose, isn't too tight. Make sure these wires, nothing's getting bound up. Everything's kind of built into this base, which is really amazing. It's just nice and clean and simple. Belt looks good, not too tight. Pull this out to give you a little more slack. All right, let's figure out how we're going to build this thing. Start with the 4 bolts we're going to need. So the first thing when you're wanting to build this thing is make sure you're building it right. Thankfully, this thing comes, I'd say 95% assembled, but if your 3D printer is not level, isn't straight, then your prints will never come out correctly. Everybody will think that it's a the bed isn't leveled correctly, or something's just off when it's just your printer itself. Make sure you take your time, you build it, and make sure everything is square and level how it should be. Let's go ahead and take these 4 screws. Comes with Allen's. Find the one that fits it. Looks like it is the biggest Allen that comes in your kit is the one that bolts this on. Let's take this. There's these nice little slots cut out, so this just kind of sets right in those little pre-cut slots. And then those 2 pieces of tape are holding down the plug-in to your stepper motors on each side. There it goes. Now what we're going to do is I need to get under it. So I'm going to slide one side off the table a little bit. Try to get up underneath here and get these screws in place. Right underneath here, there's 2 like little pilot holes. Stick the Allen bolt on your Allen wrench, slide it up in there, tighten it. Do not tighten it all the way completely until you have all 4 in, and then kind of snug them up back and forth to make sure this thing pulls down evenly. Alright, got 2. Spin it around and do the other side. Alright, so once you got all 4 in there, just kind of snug and tighten down, then you go back, retighten this one, this one, this one, this one. That's just how I like to do things to make sure it pulls down evenly and make sure you get them nice and snug now. Alright, so now that we got that all tightened, let's go ahead and plug some things in. You can start off with whatever you want. So far I see there's 2 plugs here, 1 plug back here, 1 plug back here. Go ahead and plug in your stepper motors. When you get your stepper motors plugged in, the cables can kind of tuck back down into this base, so that way when the bed comes by, these nozzle or these the bed leveling knobs don't end up rubbing the cables and actually could break them off or get them unplugged. So make sure you get those nice and tucked in and out of the way. This that fell over. Let's go ahead and turn this. Take this piece. Big old plug in right here, wide out in the open. You go ahead and just slide this thing right in. It'll be all the wires you can see come loop through. This will be up top. Click in, and then right under that will be another plug. And you just plug that right on it. So really, that's all there really is to actually building this thing. You can put your filament spool holder on. I'll do that here in a little bit. But really, you just kind of want to go over and check everything. Couplers, Bowden tube, just make sure everything is locked into place properly. Make sure every nut, bolt, anything is properly tightened. Nothing seems loose, nothing seems off. Everything moves freely, works evenly. I'll go ahead and turn this for you guys. Make sure belts aren't too tight. This doesn't wobble. That's pretty sturdy. That's not too bad. I've seen those come actually loose and they wobble really bad. There's a little nut under here that you can tighten to fix that. But everything looks pretty good. Tighten. Everything's plugged in. Well, I think we're gonna have the power cord and go ahead and try this thing out. See if she turns on. Switch is already turned on when I plugged it in, so it's powering right on up. Not the best sounding speakers, but it's a printer, not a sound system. And if you guys have had like a CR-10s Max, this really is the same thing, just shrunk down a little bit more to like an Ender size, a little bit bigger than the Ender. All right, touchscreen. Turn the settings down because that's annoying. I'm gonna go ahead and go to leveling, and this thing has a BL touch on it, so it'll go ahead and touch a whole bunch of different points on the bed and see how level it is right out of the box. That takes a minute, so while it's gonna go ahead and do that, I'm going to throw the filament in and the spool holder on. You're gonna go ahead and want to put the spool holder on the left side of the machine if you're looking at it, because it will come off here and it'll go into here, your filament runout sensor, which will then run into the Bowden tube down in how the printer works. Now, I've had people say that, I don't know if it's the wobble of the printer or what, but they've had their spool holder actually, they have the spool actually start wobbling and shaking and fall off during print. So I've seen people take it and kind of just put a little bit of an angle on like that. Nothing major, don't snap it off. Very light material, just slight angle to keep it from sliding off backwards. And we got some filament. Just some regular white PLA. Oh, it's satisfying when it's a vacuum seal. If you've ever changed out filament before, you know. Probably want to cut it about a 45-degree angle just to help it slide into place a little bit easier. I'm gonna run it through the sensor. There's actually something stuck in my filament runout sensor. Alright, I'm going to figure out what's wrong with that in a minute here, but let's see how level the bed is. Not even close. But this is auto leveling, so the printer itself will try to make up for the bed not being level. But just so the printer doesn't have to do as much work, I'm going to go ahead and go through and re-level this bed the best that I can, the way I would on my Ender 3. And then go ahead and do another re-leveling test, and hopefully things are a lot closer at that point. Alright, so interesting enough, I actually had this little piece of leftover filament, I believe, stuck in the filament runout sensor, and that's why I could not get that to go through. I had to take a flashlight and these tweezers and dig at it and get this out of there before my filament was actually able to go through nice and smoothly. Not quite sure why that's in there. It doesn't really look like a used machine. It looks brand new. It must have just been left over from testing it after they built it, I hope. But kind of sucks. Figured it out, thankfully, and now we're going to go on to leveling. So before we actually go on to leveling, I kind of want to see how this thing just performs right out of the box with its auto level and all that. So I'm going to grab that flash card that it comes with. Hopefully there's something already loaded on this, like a test cat or dog or whatever they normally come with. Throw that in there. Let's go to print. Alright, there's three files already preloaded on the card. Couldn't tell you what any of them are, so we'll just go with number 1. Hit print, and we'll get everything up to temperature and see how it goes. Alright, looking like we are done with the auto leveling, and we should go ahead and see how this print lays down. Well, that's no good. I mean, it's just so far off. There's nothing I can do with it at this point. I mean, I could go and adjust it forever, but I'm gonna go ahead and just re-level this whole bed myself, and we'll see how that goes afterwards. All right, so it's looking like we're a little more leveled now, and let's see how this print comes out. looks a little too close to the bed. Alright, so I went ahead and got the bed re-leveled, went ahead and went print, and as you've seen, the video just cut out and ends up the storage was full on my phone. So I had to go dump all the files, and here we are. The print actually did stick. I got to work, got to go down. The first couple layers weren't the greatest, but a couple minutes in and the print actually ended up just popping off. So I got a little more fine tuning, a little more adjusting to do. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and take the evening and try to get this thing really dialed in the best I can without using the auto leveling, because I feel like the closer that I can get manually, the less the printer would have to do with the auto leveling feature. I don't know if that really makes sense or if that's how it's supposed to be, but to me, I feel like that's my best bet to get perfect prints out of this thing. So I'm going to go ahead, take the evening, try to get this thing all figured out, and hopefully I'll have some videos coming up soon with some great prints from this thing. So this is some of the stuff that I've been able to print over the last 6 months of learning how to 3D print with my Ender 3 V2. Something as little as a micro SD card holder. Stores up to 6 different SD cards plus the micro SD to SD card reader. It's got the adapter inside of there. Later on moved up to, I made a cup holder for my truck at work that holds my phones, my water bottles, my scanners, holds everything I need. Made a nice little design for it to slide into place, something simple. Then you kind of move on to the bigger prints, and on an Ender 3, this stuff doesn't all fit in one shot. Like you can see here, this printer's so big I can print this entire Thor hammer in one go if I really wanted to. On my Ender 3, I actually had to slice the file and print it in 2 pieces because it was not big enough to fit on my old printer. Something like the helmets, Daredevil helmets, this I had to slice as well. Could probably go ahead and print this all in one shot. Iron Man helmets, I had to slice these also. This is something that you wouldn't want to print in one shot anyways, because obviously the face mask wants to come off and whatnot. But over the time of printing, you learn, you adapt, you figure out what works best for you. Eventually you can kind of get some of these more finished products and get a little more into it and have working electronics and faceplates and stuff like that. Other stuff I've worked on, just going out, finishing your print, spray painting it, doing what you need to do. I mean, this hobby is really endless, and obviously there's no near end for me as I just upgraded and got myself another printer. So really looking forward to where this is going to take me in the future and see what I can come up with. Well, anyways guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys taking time to come to my video. Hopefully soon I will have some sort of review on what I think of this thing compared to the Ender 3 V2. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. We'll see you guys next time. Later.